So I thought I'd challenge you to a Holmgang.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Matthew Kadish here. Welcome to Saturday Morning Holmgang, where what's yours is ours. So if you're in the chat, feel free to ask us about anything, and we will talk about it here on the live stream, because that's how this goes for our Chill Saturday stream. It's all about audience interaction. With me, as always, are my compatriots, Matt Vader 74. How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, my friend. How are you?
Doing good. And of course, Danny, the Dork Knight himself. How you doing?
Doing fantastic.
I love how we all have our hoodies on, except for Matt. It's cold outside, dude. It's like in the 70s.
Yeah, I actually had to turn the heat on today.
Whoa.
House got pretty cold. So, guys, if you want to throw some super chats our way, those are always appreciated, just like Mexican Iron Man did. Yay, let's do this. $10. Thank you so much, Mike.
Wow.
I really appreciate that.
Hey, how you doing, Mexican Iron Man?
Yeah,
he just tripled our budget for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, just so you guys know, going into 2022, our goal is to get our own studio and help Alex and Vader quit their jobs. And to do that, we need a lot of support. We just launched our first Facebook advertising campaign last night, and we're going to be advertising the show and go approaching sponsors and really trying to make an effort so that we can do the channel and the podcast full time. And your interaction, your recommendations, your super chats, all that stuff goes a long way into helping us achieve that. And in addition to that, we're trying to get accredited with Rotten Tomatoes to become actual movie reviewers so we can get early screenings and stuff like that. And in order to do that, we need 200 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. So if you want to support the show, head on over to Apple Podcasts under the Salty Nerd podcast page and give us a 5-star review. We would really appreciate it. All right, guys.
That was a really good pitch, man.
Thank you.
You have that? I'm going to interrupt him. I'm going to drive him crazy all day. You have that written down? Or do you just like come up with all that off the top of your head?
Just floating around in my brain.
See, that's why when you ask me to like host, and I'm like, blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, well, let's go. So because that's good. I like how you just can get all that stuff right out there. It's good, man.
So the first thing we're going to talk about today is this rumor that Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy is no more. And before we get to this, I just want to ask you guys, what's your take on The Last Jedi? Matt Vader, what did you think of The Last Jedi?
Are you just trying to piss me off to get this thing started?
Yes.
No, I don't want to talk about The Last Jedi. That movie sucks, dude. It ruined Star Wars. It destroyed the fandom worse than the prequels did. It's the movie I don't even like to acknowledge its existence of. It's awful.
Now, Danny, you're one of those Star Wars fans who's not quite as generous with the salt. You like to say you like to try to find the silver linings, but what was your take on The Last Jedi?
Oh, I hated it. I think it ruined the character of Luke Skywalker. It was a big. I think I want to say we talked about this a year ago on the podcast. I can't remember, but
we did.
It was an abomination, and I'm glad that this trilogy of Rian Johnson's is not going to happen now. So.
Well, supposedly not going to happen. I have some things to say about it, but let's talk about this article. So there's this guy. His name is Matthew Baloney.
Sounds like a bunch of baloney to me.
Yeah,
that's a great name.
He used to be the editor at the Hollywood Reporter, which is like one of the big movie industry trade mags, and he kind of came out with this editorial, I guess you'd call it, where he says it's time to take Star Wars movies away from Kathleen Kennedy, and he kind of had this breakdown of some behind-the-scenes stuff going on at Lucasfilms, where basically based around Patty Jenkins leaving and not doing her announced Rogue Squadron movie. And basically, I'm going to read this IGN article to you guys because it's actually kind of like a better summary of what was said in the article.
You're going to read us a story?
Oh, yeah. And plus, this one's behind like a paywall. type thing. So screw that.
I hate those kind of stories. Paywall stories.
It's annoying. So following the news that Patty Jenkins' Star Wars movie has been delayed indefinitely, reports have surfaced suggesting that the movie was made due to creative differences between the director and Lucasfilm executives. Former THR editor and noted insider Matthew Bologna reports that issues between Jenkins and the studio caused the film to be taken off Lucasfilm's production schedule. Specifically, Bologna reports that the issues have revolved around the film's script, stating that Jenkins and studio executives, including senior VP Michelle Rejwan, could not agree on how to move forward. Bologna states that this is a laughably recurring problem at Lucasfilm. According to the article, a number of agents have previously reported that top filmmakers are often keen to sign on for a movie with the franchise, but find themselves hampered by issues of micromanagement and plot point by committee processes. Bologna cites that similar experiences were held by Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and Dan Weiss, who bailed on creating a new Star Wars trilogy, as well as Rian Johnson, whose own trilogy has also been shelved. Jenkins' Star Wars film was originally announced in December of 2020. Disney revealed at the time that the film would be called Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and that it would be the first title in the franchise to feature a female director. While the title shares its name with a franchise-based video game, Disney confirmed shortly afterward that Rogue Squadron would not be an adaptation and instead would feature its own original story. So, a couple things here. Kathleen Kennedy's contract just got renewed for the next 2 or 3 years, I think.
Yeah, I saw that on Force of Light.
Which, proves me right yet again, because I've been saying since 2017, 2018, that she's not going anywhere unless she wants to. And everyone always says, like, she's not going to get renewed again. She's not going to get renewed again. And of course, she does.
I wonder whose naked pictures with a goat she has.
I know, right?
Yeah, so
it is kind of wild how she just continues to fail and get rewarded for it.
Well, for the people out there who don't follow this stuff as closely as people like we do, so Kathleen Kennedy, even though she's the chief executive of Lucasfilm, she's like in charge of that production company. Her focus is on the feature film side of things. So she has complete control over the feature films, whereas on the TV end of things, it's Favreau and Filoni, and she kind of has more of an advisory role where she can yay or nay their ideas, but she doesn't have a whole lot of creative input into what they do, which is why we're seeing a lot more action on the TV end of Star Wars than we are on the movie end. So once the Patty Jenkins thing dropped, that the film was being delayed indefinitely after a big announcement at D3 and Comic-Con and stuff like that, this insider has come out and said that he has heard that Kathleen Kennedy and her apparent successor, Michelle Rejwan, who was also formerly a J.J. Abrams protege that came up through Bad Robot and moved over to Lucasfilm through his involvement in the 2 Star Wars movies, that they have basically been turning off high-profile filmmakers by micromanaging them and stuff like that. Now, it was announced that David Benioff and Dan Weiss, the guys who did the Game of Thrones show for HBO, they had originally signed on to do a 3-picture trilogy with Lucasfilm after season 8 had premiered, but they left. And according to this article, they bailed because they didn't like being micromanaged. But I think actually what happened was they were let go because season 8 was such a crap fest. and Lucasfilm wanted to distance themselves from more bad publicity because these guys are hacks, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. But I mean, I also if you take a look at the one of those brothers did the Lego movie that we're supposed to do solo. You take a look
Lord
at
Miller.
Yeah.
Not brothers, just partners.
Oh, sorry, partners. So Lord and Miller, and then you look at Patty Jenkins. You look at this Rian Johnson thing. You look there's tons of these examples. The Benioff and Weiss. There's I know there's at least 1 or 2 more I'm forgetting, but it seems to happen a lot. Where they just seem to. This it's always creative differences.
This is the thing with Kathleen Kennedy, right? They come out with a big splash and they make a big announcement, and the directors go, nah, I don't really like your style, and we're out. And when Taika Waititi does the same thing here pretty soon, I'm gonna laugh. It's gonna be really funny.
Well,
That's probably gonna happen too.
Here's the thing. So if you look at the people who have supposedly bailed because of creative differences with Lucasfilm, these are all people whose previous projects have been really bad. So you have Benioff and Weiss, the Game of Thrones guys. Season 8 ruined the entire franchise of Game of Thrones. They left. Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman 1984, she had complete creative control over that movie. That movie was a crap fest.
Garbage.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Lord and Miller, I mean, I don't think they've done anything bad, have they?
Well, Solo. We never got their Solo cut.
We never got their Solo.
Apparently, they were just out of control. But I mean, like Lord and Miller, they're not even on the radar because she had to fire them after they came on board and started doing their thing. So here's the thing, though, is that these people who left due to creative differences, it might have been justified because, it says Lucasfilm micromanaging, but we've seen what they can produce when left to their own devices, and it's not good. So it might have been a blessing in disguise that these people's stuff isn't getting made.
Could be.
Because they're hacks, essentially.
Thank you, Joker Voice. Colin Trevorrow, that was another one.
Yeah, Colin Trevorrow. Yeah. Although I would argue that Colin Trevorrow is not a very good filmmaker. But that's just me.
I think you and Alex are going to fight, right? Over maybe. That? Yeah.
It is his boyfriend. Mexican Iron Man says, IMDb Pro shows that Johnson thing is dead in the water, but who knows? Disney is a shop lost at sea. Lucasfilm was a rowboat, shattered and crashed against the rocks of a desert island, in my opinion.
Pretty sure he meant ship.
Well, keep in mind that IMDb is not a very accurate reporter of news. I mean, like they do report on news and rumors. Here's my thoughts on this, okay? So we haven't seen any movement on Rian Johnson's trilogy, right? Since it was announced in 2018. And I've always stated that Rian Johnson is taking his time writing out all 3 scripts, and eventually when he's ready, we're going to get this announcement, we're going to go into production. Now, this rumor that was started by Mr. Baloney on his own website, he doesn't go deep into it. He just says that there were creative differences, which is why Rian Johnson's trilogy has been shelved. But the thing is that the reason that these people are leaving Lucasfilm is due to butting heads with the way that Lucasfilm makes movies. But the whole reason Johnson got his trilogy to begin with was because he worked really well with Kathleen Kennedy and she liked working with him. And so he's proven that he's compatible with the Lucasfilm style of filmmaking. He doesn't need complete creative control because his creativity aligns with what they want. Which is the whole reason he got in there. Now, he has gone off and started doing more of these Knives Out movies, like that's his new big franchise. But to walk away from Star Wars money, because that's the type of stuff that generationally, like you'll get until you die, and your kids and stuff like that will get. So I don't personally believe that his trilogy is dead quite yet. I just think that because there's been no word on it for such a long time, and there is this chaos at Lucasfilm, people are making that assumption. I don't think that assumption's accurate.
So Rian Johnson, everybody has to admit that the dude is a capable filmmaker. He's not a bad filmmaker. He's actually a really good one. He's put some good movies out there a lot of people like. The problem is Rian Johnson disrespected the fans and the canon of Star Wars. That's why everybody hates Rian Johnson.
Well, he wasn't as bad as was that guy that directed Ghostbusters 2016. Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah,
as bad
well,
as him.
that's just Ghostbusters isn't Star Wars, my friend.
I would actually say he's worse than Paul Feig.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But I don't know. Rian Johnson is just loathed by the fandom, and I mean there is the fringy shill people out there who are gonna just bow down at his feet. But the dude disrespected the fans, and he's never done anything to try and walk that back.
He's just doubled down on it.
He just doubles down on it and doubles down on it. So at this point, Rian Johnson could make, and it could happen, he could make the best Star Wars movies that have ever been made. It wouldn't shock me at all. But he's never going to get the buy-in from us fans until he changes his fucking attitude.
Yeah, like
and that's how it has to go.
He pretty much alienated half the Star Wars fan base. At
least. He killed Luke Skywalker.
I was going to say it's about half because, unfortunately, and I don't understand these people, but it's usually the younger generation. I actually know quite a bit of people who love The Last Jedi. It's like they claim it's their favorite one, and I'm like, it blows my damn mind.
Those people don't know Star Wars.
No, well, yeah, like I said, it's mostly the younger people that
it's mostly the people who didn't grow up with the original trilogy.
Right,
yeah.
right. And
you know, like
if go ahead.
I just watched Ghostbusters Afterlife. Okay.
Oh God!
Yesterday.
No.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay.
But I can say that when I walked out of that theater, I felt so good.
Yes.
And so rewarded for being a Ghostbusters fan.
Yes.
That we finally got a legitimate sequel to the movie that I grew up loving. And I was like, why couldn't we have gotten something like this for Star Wars? This is the way you should have treated the fans of Star Wars, because you were rewarded for being a Ghostbusters fan for having watched Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I am so happy to hear this.
I almost had tears in my eyes when I was leaving the theater. Okay,
yes,
like Jude was crying during the movie. So like it was such a moving, emotional experience watching that sequel to a movie I grew up loving. And I was like, Star Wars needs to do something like this in their next feature film outing. Otherwise, the franchise is going to just keep like nosediving. In my opinion.
They need to apologize for that abomination of a movie. I'm sorry,
and they need to never let Rian Johnson and be involved in another Star Wars movie.
So I want to put a pin in that. I want to go back. I am so relieved, thankful, glad to hear what you just said about Ghostbusters.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
But as far as this Rian Johnson thing goes, I don't necessarily think. I feel like if he did his own, where my issue with Rian Johnson was what he did with established characters. We never got the satisfying moment of having Luke and Leia and Han on screen together at the same time. They punk out Han. Han's already dead by then, but they punk out Luke and making this, I don't know. It's just what they did to the character of Luke Skywalker is just terrible. But if he has his own separate story set in the Star Wars universe, maybe, but he's exactly, that's what I was saying. He's just already poisoned the well so bad. Like the majority of the fans aren't going to give him the chance or the opportunity. They're gonna do what they did to the Solo movie, which really wasn't fair to the Solo movie, because of how much most people hate The Last Jedi. So I feel like the project could very well be dead because maybe they realize that
Rian Johnson's just too toxic for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well,
he can go make his Knives Out movies. People are going to go watch them. Matt's going to go watch them. You watched it. You liked it, if I remember correctly. I did not, and I'm not going to. I have no desire to ever watch another Rian Johnson movie again, as far as I live, and I don't care if I do.
Didn't he do Looper?
Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there like me who just aren't going to waste our time and money on a Rian Johnson movie. It does, and it won't matter how good it is.
Well, I personally think that Lucasfilm is tone deaf enough where they would make another movie with Rian Johnson. I hope I'm wrong. I really don't want him to get a Star Wars trilogy, but something in the back of my head, something in my gut tells me that his project is far from dead. It's just that he's taken his time with it because he's a slow writer, and he probably, listened to the backlash and wants to redeem himself. So he's like, I'm going to take my time and do this. And when it is announced, it's going to blindside everyone. And
he wants to redeem himself. He seemed like he's such a pompous ass on Twitter.
It does. Care. That's right. But all he has to do is he needs to go on the Tonight Show or something. He needs to go on something with a little bit of an audience, and they need to talk about it.
I don't think he's going to ever.
And he needs to just say, you know what, I screwed up.
I don't think he's ever going to admit that he screwed up. I think that the way JJ handled his creative decisions in The Rise of Skywalker was probably a message that, he knows that there were things that he needed to do better. And so he's probably cognizant of that, but I don't think he thinks that he did anything wrong.
Yeah.
Matthew Birkland, I hope I pronounced that right, said Patty's movie was shelved because they weren't going to let her make a movie that was about her dad and a pro fighter pilot. So maybe, I mean, I don't know. They've let people make movies for dumber stuff.
Nothing wrong with using real world inspiration in your space fantasy movies. It might have been really good. Who knows?
Joker Voice says every project with Kathleen Kennedy's fingerprints on it has either been pulled or postponed indefinitely. Acolyte, Rogue Squadron, High Republic, Andor. Also, I want to say that so her Indiana Jones 5 movie has had nothing but problems going forward. Right?
Well, I mean, that's because Harrison Ford's 100 years old and keeps getting injured, isn't it?
There's that. There's also like COVID restrictions and budget overruns and all types of stuff.
Another movie that I used to live and breathe Indiana Jones, but I have no desire to even care about this movie.
It's one of your 3 5-star reviews.
Right? One of my 3 5-star reviews. Yeah.
Also, the big thing was, remember when they announced the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and they're like, "Oh, we have all the scripts written, we're ready to go," and then it's like, "Oh, that's delayed indefinitely because we need to rewrite the scripts."
Oh yeah,
and it was basically like, Kathleen Kennedy had overseen like a movie script for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they were like, "Oh, we'll just cut it into 3 parts and make it into a TV show," and they were like, "Yeah, that's not going to work." And so
it is pretty amazing that every time she comes out with a big announcement, it gets walked back like 6 weeks later. It's really funny to me. So
Press Play says Disney seems to be in the business of hiring whoever is hot at the moment, whether they have staying power or not. That's actually more of a Kathleen Kennedy thing. Like Kathleen Kennedy, she's always been really big on young talent and trying to find the next Spielberg and stuff like that. And one of the other issues is that if they bring in someone like Martin Scorsese or like an established director, they have a really hard time bending them to their will because they need to have some type of leverage over these filmmakers to make them fit into the formula.
What about Ron Howard? I mean, he didn't seem to have a problem. He's pretty established.
Well, he came in and he was a fixer. Yeah. where they're going to find their future feature film directors is from the TV side of things. That's why they have all these hot up and comers directing episodes of them.
Originally Josh Trank was going to come in and direct the Boba Fett movie. Originally, was it Gareth Edwards? He was going to come in and do Rogue One, and he ended up getting replaced. After the movie was shot because it was such a mess that they had to bring in this other guy to come in and fix it. Lord and Miller were another big one. They were young up and comers, and they just went insane with their production. And
wasn't Trank the one that did that terrible Fantastic Four movie? Was a real douchebag as well. What is it with these directors that get like? I bet you. I wonder if they're all millennials.
That's just like Hollywood culture, man. Got to be.
I don't know. I mean, like your older direct, like you would never see Spielberg or Scorsese or any of those kind of greats, or react to their fans this way. Most of them are like, well, if you don't like my movie, don't watch it.
Yeah. And the business is different now. So
yeah.
Christian Fandom Geek says The Last Jedi is a good space film, but a really poor Star Wars film. I would argue it's a bad space film.
No, I don't.
It's got a lot of extraneous subplots that don't go anywhere. It handles characters inconsistently with the previous movie. The whole introduction of like space fuel and all this other garbage that
ripping off Battlestar Galactica. And the other thing that upsets me is that if you remove that subplot with Finn and Rose, if you just completely pluck it out of the movie, it makes no difference to the overall plot of the movie because none. Like you could literally take it out and you miss nothing because. You know what I mean? It's just like, I would disagree with that. I mean, I don't want to.
Joker Voice says everything points to Kathleen Kennedy either being gone or being on her way out the door. This rumored 3-year extension doesn't mean she's going to be there for 3 years with any power. Yeah, Joker. Everyone's been saying that since 2017.
Yeah,
we said.
And I've been saying the exact opposite, and I've been constantly proven right. So this whole thing about rumored 3-year extension, you got to understand that her contract has automatic renewals in it. So as soon as it's renewed, it's there. You know, if she is not fired, she's renewed. She's going to be there. And if you're in charge of an arm of a studio, you're not sidelined. Like, you have power. Okay. So all this stuff that you're hearing from other channels about, you know, oh, she's on her way out the door. It's all baloney from people who don't understand the industry. Okay. If you understand how the industry works, I worked in it. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I worked in Hollywood.
Kadish used to work in Hollywood.
I did.
Yeah,
I did used to work in Hollywood. A lot of people don't know that. But when I was in that town, I saw how the sausage was made, right? And the way that things work in these studios, the political aspect of it, it goes against logic. Like, you would think logically, she makes bad movies, she's bad at her job, she should be fired. But that's not how it works exactly, okay? And this whole thing about her being undermined and her not having any real power, that's complete baloney. Because guess what? Spielberg's still in her corner. Her husband, the super producer, is still in her corner. George Lucas still in her corner. The guy who runs Disney's film division, Alan Horn, is still in her corner. She's the most powerful woman in Hollywood, so every female organization in Hollywood is in her corner. Like, there is nothing that they can do to rob her of her power, other than like Bob Chapek, the guy who's running Disney right now, just saying like, no, we're not going to fund that idea.
I'm telling you, man, she's got naked pictures of somebody with a goat. I mean, she's not going anywhere.
She's going to go away on her terms, and they'll replace her with somebody that she handpicks.
Yeah. I did want to say we really got to make Kate a T-shirt that says, you know, I used to work in Hollywood or something.
I think we have one.
Well, I don't want too many people knowing, because you know, that's a little known aspect of it.
We still got to work on the hat with the little blue check mark hovering over it for you too.
The Canto Bite segment should never have been seen in any Star Wars film. That's a prime example of a filmmaker.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Yeah.
Of a filmmaker who had a set piece in mind, and he wanted to shoehorn it into a movie, whether it made sense or not. You know, like, there's no way that Rose and Finn should have gotten off the Radis in order to go to Canto Bite. Like there's just no conceivable way that could have happened.
Yeah, and like I said, it serves no purpose to the story whatsoever. You pluck it out.
And also, if you could send someone off that ship to go somewhere, why not go to wherever the Republic is being housed right now and ask for help? You know, like why go to try to find some random hacker on a planet that you can't even guarantee that, number one, you'll find, or number two, he'll help out. I mean, it just didn't make any sense.
Remember when that first came out, everybody thought, oh, this is how they're going to bring Lando in, you know, they thought that was going to be him.
So Joker Voice says, I don't see this happening, not with Chapek at the helm of Disney. The sequels were under Iger. That regime is over. You seem to forget that Chapek was handpicked by Iger to succeed him. Chapek is just Iger 2.0, except he's maybe not as business savvy. He's more of like a operational guy. But Chapek, don't give him too much credit. He's not a trailblazer. He's not someone who's going to come in and be like, hey, I'm going to shake things up, and this is the new way we're going to do things. It's like, no, he's just doing more of what Bob Iger did. In fact, Iger is still heavily involved in the running of Disney. It's kind of like a puppet regime over there with Chapek. So don't think Chapek is going to drop the hammer on Kathleen Kennedy, because he's not.
I think Joker, we love you, man, but I think you just like to argue with Kadish sometimes.
He probably does.
Well, did you see? I mean, he put the Midnight's Edge and Insiders have it all. Did you see that comment? I mean, yeah. I mean, insiders are insiders, right? We all have insiders, and they're wrong sometimes and they're right sometimes.
Well, I know for a fact that every time an insider has told a YouTube channel one thing and I told them something different, I've been proven right.
Just about.
And any insider who is afraid to publicly come out and say things is giving themselves cover for being wrong, because oftentimes they just want to be, they want to feel important. Yeah. So Midnight's Edge does a really good job with vetting their sources.
Yeah. So
I can't say, like, I don't know exactly what rumors the insiders are feeding Midnight's Edge. So I would trust Midnight's Edge's reporting more than most. But at the same time, like, I can tell you for a fact, just from my experience, like, you could call me an insider. I could call up Doomcock, and be like, hey, dude, guess what? I have inside knowledge that Kathleen Kennedy's contract is going to be renewed.
Yeah.
And
Dun,
and,
dun,
and,
dun.
and he'll report it as an insider. But the thing is like, do I have any, evidence to back that up? No. It's just something I kind of know will happen, right? So when it comes to insiders, like a lot of these people who contact YouTubers and give them inside information are people who live and work in Hollywood and maybe hear some things, but they make stuff up in order to get attention from these influencers on YouTube, okay? Because they want to be friends with them and they want to feel important. So I can count on maybe like one finger the number of times I've met an insider who was worth his salt that actually like gave good information to YouTubers. So just take it with a grain of salt. I can tell you right now that someone who runs one of the biggest companies in the world, Bob Chapek, he ain't afraid of
Kathleen
anything.
Kennedy.
No ghost.
Exactly. like if he wants to make a decision, like if he didn't want Kathleen Kennedy there, he'd fire her. He wouldn't renew her contract.
Yep.
Or he'd buy out her contract and send her packing. Like nothing would stop him from getting rid of her if he wanted her gone. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea that Bob Chapek, like he's like got it out for Kathleen Kennedy or something like that, it's just not credible in my opinion, because it's not just about the business of movie making; it's about the politics within Hollywood that you have to understand how that operates. You have to understand the power that these people wield, the relationships that they have, and all that type of stuff. And when you look at the macro picture of all that, you have to understand that it's not just about dollars and cents. Disney could lose money hand over fist for years and not see any like real shakeups or changes. It doesn't matter to them because even if they lose money on the theme parks, they're making that up on licensing or something like that. They're one of the biggest companies in the world. So you can't treat it like what's going on there because you haven't experienced that high level of business.
Disney touches us in ways we don't even realize. They're everywhere, man. They're everywhere.
But also just look at Disney Plus, right? Disney Plus brings in like $56 million a month or more a month of free money. It's crazy. Basically.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, this movie lost money because it only made X amount of money in the theaters.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They're making that up on the streaming end of things, like left and right, especially like their premiere releases where you have to pay $30 on top of your subscription fee.
Yeah, I'll never do that ever.
You may not, but a lot of people do.
A lot of people do. I know,
and that's just icing on the cake.
I do have a question for you, Matthew. When you went and watched Ghostbusters a couple days ago, I'm going on Monday. I have not seen it yet, but I am curious because this is an event movie. This is a big movie, and you went like Friday of opening weekend. How many people were actually in the theater? I'm very curious.
Well, we went to a matinee, so it was
that shouldn't have mattered. It was light.
Well, it was a Friday matinee. It was like around 12 o'clock.
Okay.
So it wasn't like we specifically went then because we didn't want to be in a crowded theater.
Right.
There were like a handful of people in there.
Well, it did a good number on Thursday night. I read.
I will predict that this movie will have legs because it's good.
Right.
And people are going to walk out of that theater and tell everyone they know to see it. That's what I'm doing.
I know the movie's going to have legs because I'm using the wife barometer. There's so many movies that we watched that my wife does not want to watch, but she actually came to me and said, "Hey, are we going to go watch that Ghostbusters movie?" So that tells me that the normies out there want to see this.
Yeah,
the
they
non-nerds, the normal
$40 million on Thursday night is what this is saying.
Wow, that's a lot.
Just a normie
40.
They were in Kathleen Kennedy's corner, but she can't hide from destroying one of the greatest franchises ever. Disney are fucking idiots. I agree. I concur.
Yeah.
Disney is filled, like all of Hollywood is filled with idiots. It's amazing that we get anything good out of it.
It's all about money. So I always, I could lie and say I always hate to bring up wrestling, but I love to bring up wrestling. Disney is a lot like WWE. So you know how like WWE's released like 80 some odd wrestlers just this year alone. Yeah. And every time they do it, the excuse they give is budget cuts. Yet on their quarterly, shareholders calls, they have consistently reported record profits like every single time. I mean, it just keeps going up and up and up. So they know because of their TV deals and like the merch sales and whatever, like that they can do basically whatever they want. They can piss off their fans. They can, they can have whoever. Like you could say, you could make the comparison that like John Laurinaitis is like Kathleen Kennedy, basically. Just somebody that like most of the fans. I know you guys probably don't know who this is, but there's a couple people in the chat do. That most of the fans don't like this person, John Laurinaitis, and he's bad for wrestling, kind of like Kathleen. A lot of people don't like Kathleen Kennedy, feel like she's bad for Star Wars. But as long as they keep making that money, because that's all it's about, they're going to keep, and it just sucks because that's.
Well, it's sometimes it's not even about money, because Kathleen Kennedy has really botched some things. That sometimes what it's about is more about the politics end of it. Like if you're on the right end of the politics and the wrong end of the money, you can still survive. Zach says Kadish is riding high after FNT.
Did you get a shout out?
I guess Odin shouted me out on Friday Night Tights. I unfortunately missed it, but thank you, Odin, for doing that. That's very nice of you. It's kind of funny because a lot of the people on that show, I was on a live stream with Jeremy back in 2018 talking about this, Kathleen Kennedy. Everyone was saying like, oh, she's out the door. And I was the only voice there saying like, nope. And Jeremy, I think during the whole Mangold thing, he actually had to come on a live stream with me and be like, yeah, dude, you were right.
Yeah,
I was like, ooh, I'm going to mint that into an NFT of just Jeremy saying I was right. So
oh God, you and your NFTs.
Let's not go there.
NFTs, I don't understand.
Actually, did you guys, speaking of NFTs, I was reading the other day that Quentin Tarantino and Miramax are getting in like a lawsuit. Over the fact that Quentin Tarantino's selling NFTs of handwritten script.
I can't wait to talk about NFTs on our show.
Odin says Matthew was right 3 years ago about Kathleen Kennedy. Odin, if you're in the chat, do you want to hop on? If so, I can send you an invite. But yeah, so real quick, not to get too in the weeds about NFTs again, because I know it bored the hell out of chat last time I brought it up. Basically, I found a TikTok video where Quentin Tarantino was introduced to the idea of NFTs. And it's this new thing where you can create digital collectibles in the art world. It's kind of revolutionizing art. And the meme of, the Jules and Verne holding their guns from a frame of the Pulp Fiction movie, it was being explained to them that the NFT version of that could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars to collectors who want that. And so Quentin Tarantino was like, I would like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, for sure.
So he started going about creating NFTs based off of Pulp Fiction. And then Miramax, the studio that released Pulp Fiction, which I guess is still in existence, came out and said like, hey, we own that movie. Those NFTs belong to us. You can't do this. That's our money, not yours. And so there's like a lawsuit going on now between Miramax and Quentin Tarantino about who has the right to make these NFTs, which is kind of interesting. But NFTs are going to be the future of movie marketing and movie collectibles and stuff like that. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that since Danny brought it up. Notice I didn't bring it up, Vader.
Yeah, good job, man.
It was Danny.
No, you brought it up, and I said, speaking of NFTs.
Can you mute him the rest of the show?
All right, guys. Well,
he'll just want to talk about wrestling or something. So,
actually, I would love to talk about Spider-Man and Ghostbusters because I was right. Remember when I said the Doc Ock thing was him absorbing?
Well, we were going to talk about this, but give me a second to catch up with chat. 3 years ago, Matthew was on top of the KK debacle, and I would argue I still am. So
you're also very vain and
take that Joker voice.
Oh, I'd say he's humble. What are you talking about? He's a very humble, modest.
Never been humble.
The truth is that Disney, like Star Trek, are dead for fans.
Yeah.
Star Trek Discovery season 4 just premiered. Just saying.
Really? Where?
Yeah, on
I had no idea.
Plus. Paramount.
There's so much other stuff on TV right now that I've completely forgotten that Star Trek was even out there. I don't even have time to hate watch it. So,
Zach says arguing with Kadish is a phenomenal Patreon perk. Seriously.
This is true.
This is true. If you want to argue with me in the Discord chat, feel free to sign up for our Patreon.
So I wanted to just say thank you, Amanda, about the beard. This is just No Shave November. This is literally only 20 days. So I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not, but thanks for the shout out about the beard.
Okay, OMB says, I had about 25% of my 400-seat IMAX on Thursday evening. Good for the pandemic, from what I've been seeing. I assume that's for Ghostbusters in the studio. Does anyone see? I'm kind of trying to catch up with chat. Did Odin want to come on?
I think he had to go take care of the little one. So
okay, Thor.
Although I wouldn't. Is OMB reviews Odin?
yes.
Okay, well, I would love to have him on because apparently he's a wrestling fan too. So,
what are NFTs? Funny you should ask PJO. I'm not going to get into it. All right, so the new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer dropped. Wanted to talk about this a little bit. Unfortunately, no Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire in this one, but we got we got Doc Ock, we got the Green Goblin, we got Sandman, Lizard, Electro. Pretty much all the villains from the previous Spider-Man movies made an appearance in this trailer. We got a little bit more of the story going forward, where realities are seeping into the Sony Marvel verse, and Spider-Man has to figure out a way to keep them from going crazy. Danny, I know that you were really excited for this trailer. What did you think of it?
Oh my God. I probably watched it like 300 times. I'm so excited. First of all, I love the fact that I was proven right about my theory with the Doc Ock arms.
Oh man, you were so smart. You were so unbelievably smart.
Did you see one of his arms got the Iron Man treatment in the trailer? Was it like absorbing absorbed tech?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I said a couple weeks ago on this show. And then, hey man, Kadish gets his. I can have a little bit of mine too. And
I'm gonna just like fire both of you and go do my own thing. That's what I think.
Oh, I will happily let you handle the stream, Vader. I could sleep in on a Saturday for a change.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
So, but I don't know if you look at there's a bunch of little areas. Like, did you see the hoopla over the Brazilian version of the trailer where the lizard is getting kicked in the face by an invisible man? No. And okay, so there's that scene in the trailer where it's Electro's up at the top, Sandman is in kind of in the middle, and then the lizard's toward the bottom. And Andrew Garfield is the only Spider-Man being shown, and he's kind of diving more into the middle, like where Sandman is. And Jamie, Electro, he's going against somebody who's not there, and then at the bottom, the lizard's like kind of he's jumping forward, and then all of a sudden he's like his face is like kicked. I can't believe you haven't seen this. I'll have to pull it up and put it in our little chat so you can look at it. And it's lined up perfectly. I'm telling you, there's no way that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are not in this movie.
Well, we know for a fact that they are.
Yeah,
it's just they haven't come out specifically.
Oh yeah, I mean they want to, and I kind of respect that. Like I want them to hold it. But did you guys?
What you're talking about? They might have just digitally removed one of them from that scene,
right? Yeah,
in the trailer.
Yeah, in fact, they digitally removed, I've been going deep on this because I'm just a huge Spider-Man fan, and people that do VFX have been breaking things down in YouTube videos, and there's the one scene right before the one I was just talking about where Spider-Man lands, does the hero's pose somewhere on the Statue of Liberty, and there's these I forget what they call them, like motion blurs, like from masking, where you can kind of tell where they removed two characters, and the guy dropped in like the other two Spideys to where I'm telling you, I'm so excited for this movie. And did you see the Michael Keaton kind of spilled the beans about being the sixth member of Sinister Vulture? Because he was on a talk show a few days ago, and they asked him when he was.
Is that what it is? The Sinister Six is making their appearance in this movie.
Yeah, they've been wanting to make a Sinister Six movie for years and years and years. So.
I mean, this is totally a Sinister Six. I mean, it's not the original lineup or whatever, but
yeah.
Well, you got Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Sandman, Lizard, Electro, and Vulture.
Green Goblin,
right?
Goblin.
I already
okay.
So that's six.
I'm so excited. In fact, if Schwab ever gets his shit together, I gave him a deposit years ago. I'm supposed to have on my left leg complete coverage from right below the kneecap to down to the ankle of Spider-Man fighting the Sinister Six. And his drawings that he's, dude, the drawings he's done are so good. I'm like, bro, like I'll even buy the art, and hang that shit up on my wall, But
Broken Bird says it's not much, but I just joined the $5 tier. You guys
Thank
are
you
amazing.
so much.
Welcome to the club, Amanda. Yeah,
I just got a text from Salty. Say new patron.
yeah.
Broken Birds, we appreciate the support. Thank you.
We ought to have her on sometime. I've known her for years.
Yeah, we'll probably do a patron show at some point.
Yeah,
we'll have as many people on as we can.
Well, she's a part of what Hillywood or something like that. I don't know. I'm sure she'll tell you about it.
I just want to say, Danny, I really appreciate your excitement for this movie, because I don't see a lot of people that are get excited about superhero movies anymore like you do. You're very passionate, man, and I like that, because I feel like, me personally, I feel like I'm broken. I can't get excited about this stuff anymore, and I don't know why. It's like somebody clicked the fucking switch.
Spider-Man will always have.
Spider-Man was my jam. That was the only comic book I collected every single title.
Yeah,
every title.
And
it's just, I had wall to wall Spider-Man stuff until I was about.
No, my mom's in here. She'll, she can attest. Like growing up, she's probably still mad to this day about all the money she spent on comics. But I almost had the entire run of the Amazing Spider-Man, but sadly, it was stolen. 3 Christmases ago. It actually made national news because the collection was worth over $160,000. My favorite. Like I'd say, when the first Spider-Man movie came out, it was the same opening weekend as Attack of the Clones, and I took my oldest son to see it, and it was like it was so funny. It's like we're watching this movie, and I'm just like, I even though he's a little kid, I was acting more like the little kid. I was like, you don't understand. Thank you, Amanda, the Hillywood show. I was like, you don't understand. I've been dreaming of this movie my whole life, and like so. Yeah. Spider-Man's always been my jam.
The Hillywood show.
Yeah.
I just pulled 1.78 million subs. Am I on the right place?
Yeah, man. That's what I'm telling you. We got to have her on. You're all like, yeah, we'll do a Patreon show. Like,
what,
bro? She can blow us up.
What? 1.78 million.
I never worked in Hollywood, but
numbers just blew Vader's mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Spider-Man 2. To answer Andre's
dumbfounded
question.
right now. Dumbfounded. That's amazing.
Yeah. So like, after watching Marvel's latest entries, like, I thought Shang-Chi was good, but like, I'm not really big into the character. And I thought Eternals was just like a waste of time. Like, I did not like that movie all that much.
Well, let's talk about that, maybe.
But I am excited for the new Spider-Man movie. Like, I do want to go see that. I've liked the previous 2 Spider-Man movies that Sony has done with Tom Holland. I wasn't big on the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, mostly because Kurtzman was involved in those, and I didn't think that. I thought that the second one was just horrible.
So here, my thing with Garfield, like, he was too fucking cool to be Peter Parker.
I mean, I didn't mind him as Spider-Man / Peter Parker, but like, I didn't like the weird storyline with his parents, and I hated Electro, and just how goofy the
I didn't like
got.
anything about those movies, but
the third Maguire movie was a mess. Even though, like, I'm a big Sam Raimi fan, I feel like Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
and,
totally.
And Alfred Molina killed it as Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
It's very exciting to see him back.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I am looking forward to No Way Home, especially since it seems to be setting up the next phase of what we can expect from Marvel with the Multiverse of Madness.
And I would love it
stuff.
if this also sets up. So, like, you were talking about Vader, how, like, when you were younger, you'd collect all the different titles. There's Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, The Web of Spider-Man,
Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah. So
it got annoying.
all running concurrently, but like in different, alternate realities or whatever, right? So I would love it if this is a way to kind of like bring back, like, I can dream here, like a Tobey Maguire, like a Sony, just a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie again, and like not have, what was that douchebag that ruined Spider-Man 3, the Avi Arad, not have him, make him do like make Raimi do shit that he never wanted. Like he never wanted to put Venom. It was into that movie, but he he was forced to.
Mhm.
And I'm just
I
I don't know.
will-
I get so excited.
I'm gonna admit, I've never, and I don't know why I feel this way, but I've never felt like the movies have ever truly done Spider-Man the way I want Spider-Man done. And I don't know why. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know what my brain is telling me is wrong with these movies, because they do a lot of stuff right. Like I know, like Spider-Man 2, was that the one with Doc Ock?
Yeah.
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 The first one.
So like, I think part of it is he breaks the rules of comic books where they kill the villains.
Well, they've always done that in movies. They
But
killed the Joker in the
it
89
annoys me.
Batman.
That's not how it's supposed to work. You don't kill your villains because you don't have nobody to fight 20 issues down the road.
I will
Spider-Man's
say,
got a deep
I will
road.
say this: Kelson Calling, he says the best Spider-Man movie is Into the Spider-Verse. Fight Me. As a comic book fan, Into the Spider-Verse is amazing.
Exactly. No,
I love it.
I
Yeah.
totally agree.
But I don't feel like you can compare that to a live action version.
Exactly.
Like it's its own thing. But I loved Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, no, me too.
Great.
In fact, what was it?
I feel like such a Grinch. I really do, because I didn't like it. But
What?
it's
Dude, you know what? You need to watch it either. Like
Miles
on, like,
Morales.
mushrooms, and you'll love it.
Miles Morales is just an SJW insert to me. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He's the only Spider-Man that ever is going to be in my head. And I also didn't like the animation style. It's just too.
Oh, I loved it. That's
too
what I'm
weird to
saying.
me.
Like,
But I understand that I am a minority at this point with those thoughts, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't really matter.
Broken Birds don't bother with the Eternals. It was a very boring movie. It was just one of those things where like you forget it the minute you leave the theater, and it was kind of bloated and silly, and I didn't like any of the characters. So like just wait for
I
it to
really
come out
liked
for free.
Angelina Jolie's character. I like the whole thing. I guess I probably don't want to get into spoilers, but I like the kind of struggle that she had. There was a lot I didn't like about it, but I didn't.
Angelina Jolie was in like 5 minutes of the movie.
See, a lot of people have been saying that, but that's not true. Like,
It is
like,
true.
No, it's not. I bet you if you time it, it's at least.
She was one
20.
of like a huge cast of characters. Can you even remember her name in the movie?
Yeah, Athena.
Athena?
Well, he's
No,
probably actually
Fina.
read Danny's probably one of the 12 people in the world that actually have read the comic books. And that's the problem with this movie. Nobody cares about the Eternals. Nobody knows who they are. Nobody's heard this story, read this story. It's just
I feel like they
It's-
tried to do too much in too little amount of time with the Eternals. I didn't care about any of the characters. I
No.
didn't like the story. Like I just found it very
You didn't-
boring
Okay.
and very meh.
Okay.
Like it wasn't a bad movie necessarily. It was just boring.
It's-
I don't
so-
know. I didn't think it was boring. I do think it definitely had like lulls. They definitely could have cut out quite a bit, and still
In other
told the
words,
same story.
boring.
And no, like boring would like if it's boring, I would have fallen asleep, or I don't know. There was a lot about it that I liked, but there was.
I mean, it had major
There was
pacing
more-
issues.
There was more that I
it just-
disliked, though. I will say
the
that.
whole third act was just kind of like silly. It was one of those CGI fests again that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, that's
Maybe-
the Marvel formula.
maybe they can have a movie with the Eternals and the Defenders in it, and then we can really bore everybody to death with characters nobody's ever heard of. And maybe then they can throw Alpha Flight in there.
They
People will
really-
go, who the hell are these people? And nobody will go to it. And it's just the MCU is too bloated. There's too many fucking characters in it right now, man. It's like
It's like the WWE roster.
well, you know what? That's a true analogy though.
Yeah.
That is a very true analogy. There's too many characters running around in tights and capes, and it's too much to keep track of.
Also, if anyone wants to join our Discord, you can just go to saltynerddiscord.com. That'll take you to the invitation.
Yeah,
Bring you right over there. So
Salty
we have a
Nerd
great
Discord.
time in our Discord with a lot of great chats.
it's a lot like this going on right now. But
Yeah. I'm on there more than so I've been off next month will be a year. I've been off Facebook, and I'm basically like I have my Discords like on my screen 24/7. I also have it on my phone. I that's why whenever I'm on the show with you guys, you're like, where can people find you? And I'm always like, either on Twitter right here or at saltynerddiscord.com because
put Joker's thing up there. This new
What?
one.
Clifford the Big Red Dog. That's funny.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. No, I mean, Eternals, the only, like, Eternals would have been way better as a Disney Plus series. So they could have established all the characters, because this felt very.
They almost tried doing that with the Inhumans. This felt a lot like the Inhumans to me, but the Inhumans was an abomination of a show.
Inhumans was
really bad.
Was terrible. It wasn't, but that wasn't controlled by Marvel. That was on like ABC, right?
It was a Marvel production. It was Marvel Television.
Yeah.
Same people who did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Exactly. That's not because I don't think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is considered canon.
Yeah.
I kind of think it is.
I don't know. I don't think so.
100% it is.
Is it really? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That's why I say the MCU is too bloated. They got too much stuff going on. It needs, and we haven't even got the Fantastic Four and X-Men yet.
Even the
it's crazy.
Even the Netflix shows are considered canon, I believe. So
they're going to have to do it. They're going to have.
Well, I guess they can get around everything's canon because of the multiverse now. So.
No. Here's what they do. They're going to have to bring in the Beyonder and have a Secret Wars show and kill off everybody.
Well, they are having a Secret Wars show.
and then start over. With just they're going to have to strip it down, streamline it, and just like comic books do in the real world. It's like, oh my God, we have too much stuff going on. Let's condense it. Let's have a big event and start
Flashpoint to get New 52, something like that.
And that's exactly why I don't read comic books anymore, is because all of a sudden I went from reading 4 Spider-Man comics to like 6. And the next thing you know, I have to buy all the fucking crossovers from the 16 other different titles, and then they go from 75 cents to $1.50.
Yeah.
Then they go from $1.50 to $3.95, and then you gotta buy the alternate covers with the special chrome plated packaging and all. It's like
you're very
enough.
covers. Yeah.
Enough. I'm over it. I don't buy comic books anymore.
I get it, but like, it's either you love it or hate it. So collectors, like I used to be,
how about can't afford it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not. Hey, it's
Jesus
just like
Christ, dude!
Being a comic book fan,
they're $5 a comic,
and a Star Trek fan is very expensive. Those are 2 very expensive hobbies to have. Like, what's it cost to go to the Star Trek convention? It's obscene. It really is. Just
it's cheaper. It's cheaper to buy a booth and go in for free every day.
No, it is. I actually, I tried. No, I know you guys did. I tried to do that a few years ago, but they turned down my application because I wasn't officially licensed by CBS or whatever. Because I do these type like mashups and artwork and stuff, and they were like, well, you can't do prints unless you're officially licensed. And I'm like, I can't. It's cost prohibitive.
Dennis Wright, I am looking forward to 50 Shades of Marvel. I think that would be a fantastic movie that I would go see with my girlfriend. And Alan at Press Play says Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Netflix are not considered MCU canon.
See, that's what I thought.
Okay, I will defer to the people who actually pay attention to this stuff. So. Let's see here, guys. I know I mentioned it earlier in the stream, but I want to talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah, this is good.
No spoilers. I'm not going to talk about anything I saw in the movie, but I just wanted to say, because I feel like this movie deserves to be recognized. Vader and I and our co-host just released yesterday our review of the 3 Ghostbusters movies that are currently out: Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and Ghostbusters 2016.
It's very entertaining. I watched it. Very good.
Thank you. So, like, you can see, in addition to us talking about buttholes for a little bit, you can see our take on these 3 different movies.
And dingleberries, I believe.
And dingleberries, yes. And Vader, myself, and Jude all consider the original Ghostbusters to be a 5-star movie. We think it's a classic.
One of the few.
It's one of those few films that you can watch time and time again, never get tired of it. It's always good. And
definitely,
there's a certain amount of nostalgia that goes along with watching a movie like that for people our age that grew up on it. It was a big part of their childhoods with the cartoon and the toys and all that good stuff. And when I was very skeptical going into the theater to see Ghostbusters Afterlife, because I've just been let down so many times in recent history by films that supposedly are going to pay homage to the source material and do like a good adaptation or a good sequel or what have you. So like I went in with my expectations being kind of low. And from the minute this movie started, I was like, oh, I was wrong. my expectations should be really high for this movie.
Okay, well, don't set it up too high because now
It's a genuinely good movie that
Mhm.
understands Star Wars, or I should say
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Because one of my criticisms in our Ghostbusters review was that the sequels treated Ghostbusters as a comedy, but it's really not a comedy. It's
Right.
a fantasy adventure film with comedic elements. And this movie is that. It's a fantasy adventure film with comedic elements.
And the first one had like a tinge of horror as well.
And this movie has all of that.
Nice.
It introduces a number of new characters
God, I want to see it so bad.
that are all fantastic. There's a new character that's introduced as part of the team. His name is Podcast. He became my favorite character in the movie. I love this character. The kids in the movie all worked.
I'm telling you that the little girl that plays Egon's granddaughter, she looks just from the trailers.
No, she's fantastic in it.
Yeah, is she like the lead basically, or
she is basically?
Okay. Yeah.
Spoilers, Jesus.
This is all from the trailers. What are you talking about?
I don't want to know who the lead and stuff is. I want to go watch the movie.
So long story short, if I can just get through this without getting interrupted, the new characters are all fantastic. The storyline, very simple to follow, but very good. But the emotions of this movie, especially when you get towards the end, like Jude and I were literally like tearing up as we were watching it. Not because it was specifically emotional, but because everything in this third act goes so right for true fans of this franchise that you're just so thankful that you're experiencing it, because not since 1984 have you seen this version of Ghostbusters, and it just did such a good job of capturing the lightning in a bottle that the first movie did. That to me, none of the other movies exist except the original Ghostbusters and this movie. Like, if you just get rid of those two other films and just look at these two as like, this is the actual sequel to the original Ghostbusters, it's two almost perfect movies.
Great. I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to see it. Did you guys ever play the Ghostbusters video game on the Xbox?
No.
Oh my God. So it was
it's technically what they consider to be the third movie,
right?
It came from a script that Dan Aykroyd had written,
right?
And it got all the original actors to voice the characters.
Yeah, and it came out in 2009. So Harold Ramis was a part of it. This was actually the movie that they were wanting to do for a while, but Bill Murray, was kind of. It really sucks because we probably would have got that movie if Bill Murray would have been down to make it, But now that Harold Ramis is like, that's another thing. It's like, I really wish, like, it's going to be so heartbreaking to not see Harold Ramis in this movie.
I'll tell you this: the way that they handled the original cast in this movie, it should have been how Ghostbusters 2016 did it, because the way that Ghostbusters 2016 handled the original cast was so disrespectful that I'm almost insulted when I watch it.
Yeah, no, that whole movie is disrespectful, and like I agreed like with absolutely every single thing you guys said in the podcast you dropped yesterday, the day before, with your Ghostbusters one. Like literally, like your guys' it was one of those rare, except for Alex is an anomaly. It's one of those rare times where the three of you got, you two and Jude, like just kind of were on the exact same page.
I think it was the only time in the history of the show that we've all given anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you were all like, Ghostbusters 5 stars. Ghostbusters 2 was like I believe 2.5 stars, or 2 something like. And then of course, 1-star crap fest that was that abomination in 2016. So I was,
But I can't stress enough how much, if you're a fan of Ghostbusters, you need to see Ghostbusters Afterlife. I want to see it 10 more times in the theater. That's how much I loved it.
I want to see it
because it's actually a good movie on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you removed connections to the first one, it's still like a great movie.
And with great
characters and a great story. I mean, they kind of took a lot of beats from the first movie in the storytelling of this one, but you don't care because it's so good.
Oh my gosh.
I feel really actually kind of upset that it's not being released in a time to where it can really take advantage of the box office, because I feel like it's going to not make as much money.
Why do you say that? I think like it's the
because people don't go to the movies now like they used to.
Well,
That's
it's
COVID,
coming
I
out.
guess.
It's coming out in time for Thanksgiving, so it's going to
Yeah.
get that Thanksgiving box office.
Yeah.
But like when Jude left the theater, Vader, like she
Mhm.
was literally high. Like she was riding
Yeah.
a high that she was like, it's been so long since I've seen such a genuinely good movie.
Mhm.
Like she
Oh
didn't
my
know what to
God.
do with herself. And
This is awesome.
I felt the same way. I was like, I can't remember the last time I saw a movie in the theater that was this genuinely good.
I
That's
think
awesome.
we're at the point now where we need to like save it for the podcast.
Well, let me. That also needs to be a shirt. Save it for the podcast.
Yeah. It is. I think it already is.
Carlson, it is 5 out of 5, 100%.
Well, I'm going to be a little selfish and talk about it still because I'm not probably going to be on that episode. Of the podcast.
No Joker. Ghostbusters is not attached to a streaming service.
It's not. It's exclusively.
It's a Sony film, and Sony does not have a streaming service.
So I was showing my two youngest kids the trailer, both trailers for Afterlife yesterday, and they're like, they've never seen any of the Ghostbusters, right? Because we're talking about a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old, and so I got a question. Do you think I should have them watch Ghostbusters like here at the house with me before we go see Afterlife? Or do you? Yeah, okay.
At least the first one, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's all.
They don't need to see any of the sequels, but
not at all.
This movie is connected to the first one in a very strong way. So like, if you don't see the first one before seeing this one, you may not appreciate it as much as you should. Okay. I'll say that the trailers for Ghostbusters Afterlife did not do this movie justice. They held a lot of stuff back from the trailers. That's in the movie, but you know how when we talked about our review of Ghostbusters, a lot of the enjoyment of that movie comes from the chemistry of like the three leads and Ernie Hudson and stuff like that.
Yeah,
this movie has that. This movie is with the new characters. The chemistry is there. They're a joy to watch. Everything that happens in this movie is just like fun, and you're engaged, and you want more of it. And by the time you get to the end, you have tears in your eyes because it's everything you ever wanted from a Ghostbusters sequel. It's amazing.
Is it safe to say maybe this would be a good blueprint movie going forward for studios who want to treat past properties respectfully as far as sequels?
Probably. I think that the big difference here is that after the failure of 2016's Ghostbusters, you had Jason Reitman come in, Ivan Reitman's son. And he grew up on this franchise. He was actually in Ghostbusters 2. And he had a healthy respect, not only for it, but for the actors who were in the creativity that were involved in the original. And so he wanted to recapture that. And this movie, it feels like an 80s movie. And you'll understand what I mean when you start watching it, because you're like, oh, this is a movie from the 80s, even though it's contemporary. But like beat for beat, the filmmaking style, the music, like everything, it captures that feeling that the original Ghostbusters had in the 80s.
Tell me they used the original theme.
And so it's thematically consistent. They use the original themes, plural. Like every music cue from the original Ghostbusters is in this movie.
How about this song? Because they didn't even use it in the second movie, which bummed me out.
Yeah, they don't use a cover of the song; they use the actual song.
Yes,
Ray
Parker or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, this movie has so many strong connections to the first. That's why I say it felt like a true sequel.
Nice,
because it really took the original and kind of wrote off of like what it set up. So it is just the best movie I've seen all year. 100%.
Hell yeah! To piggyback off of what you were telling Vader a second ago, this director was the bratty kid in the second one when that picked on Dan Aykroyd's character when they were at the birthday party. Like the one's like, my dad said, blah 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 blah. Do you know who I'm talking about, Vader?
Yeah.
Vader, you don't remember that kid? Okay.
It was at the birthday party.
Yeah, it was at the birthday party. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that little kid grew up, and he's the director of this movie.
Oh, okay. All right. That's cool. I was a little distracted. I was typing stuff in the chat. So.
Yeah.
So anyway, safe to say.
I highly recommend it.
It's safe to say that Ghostbusters is a must-watch. That's good.
Oh yeah,
like this movie will revitalize the franchise. We're gonna get more Ghostbusters movies.
Yes, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, me too.
Fucking A, man. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
D-
like no politics at all.
Good.
Like
No
nothing,
agendas, no
no
woke stuff.
agendas, nothing. Like there are female characters in this. There are people of color in this. Like you just don't care because like the story's good, everything's good, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you
And
don't have to
they don't make a
force
big deal
things.
out of it.
Yeah,
They
you don't have
make
to
a big
force
deal out of
things.
it.
Like one of the many problems that I had with Eternals was like you don't have to, you know, if you do stuff naturally, you know, you can have like a gay couple, but you don't have to have like this unnecessary scene of the gay couple making out just to like kind of pigeonhole that in there. Like if you look at the first Ghostbusters movie, there was a shit ton of diversity. You know, you're in New York and stuff, but it wasn't like they weren't trying to like tick any boxes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear everything you're saying about this movie, man. I'm so excited
Just a
for it.
normie. I don't know anything about a TV show connected to the movie, but if they made one, I would watch it. So,
Just want to change gears a little bit.
yeah,
Give me all the Ghostbusters.
I've been watching a lot of stuff on Netflix, and I've been watching Wheel of Time. No, I haven't watched that.
Wheel of Time's on Amazon.
I've been watching streaming services. Wheel of Time and Cowboy Bebop. I both started yesterday. What do you guys think? Have you guys watched these yet?
Did you go back and watch the animated like I recommended?
No.
They do have that on Netflix.
I haven't had time. I haven't had time to do it.
Oh, okay.
But I got to say, Wheel of Time, it feels a little hokey to me. I feel like I'm getting this weird vibe of Hercules and Xena mixed with modern movie TV making again, and I feel like this is a thing that they do on streaming services. It's weird.
Which service is this on?
It's on Prime. It's on Prime.
Yeah, because I've never even heard of this. I'll have to look it up. Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time is based on Robert Jordan's epic fantasy series that kind of revitalized the genre. It was the book series that inspired George R.R. Martin to create Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the most celebrated epic fantasy series of all time. It's up there with Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. And the books were like so big and like there were so many of them. I think there's like nine or 10 of books like this thick.
It's very small print.
And they were said to be unadaptable, especially because most of them are very boring. It's just people traveling places. But Amazon,
like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, in addition to Lord of the Rings, Amazon got the rights to it and they made this TV show. I've watched the first 2 episodes.
That's what I'm at.
And so far, like it's pretty close to the books. Like I personally never cared for the books all that much. So I'm just kind of meh on the show so far. 2 episodes in, I'm hoping it gets better. But you know, after reading the first book, I didn't think the first book was all that good. So personally, like I'm just kind of like, you know, take it or leave it with the show so far. And they also cut out the opening of the books from the show instead of showing, you know, the breaking of the second age with the dragon and stuff like that. They just have this new character. I forget her name, the sorceress, the Aes Sedai. She just kind of like gives you like a brief rundown of like, hey, the dragon's been reborn and we're off to find him.
Yeah.
Then they just get into the story and it's like, I'm getting some Witcher vibes off of it where like they're just kind of doing like a fast and loose adaptation.
See, and that's the exact kind of thing I felt because, you know, first season of Witcher, I felt like they had a really cool story to tell, but they kind of like lost me with the poor production value. And I'm kind of feeling a little bit of that same vibe with this. It's like, you know, there's the scenes with all the Trollocs what are they called? The demon, like, the Trollocs. And it's like in some scenes those things look really great, and in other scenes they look terrible. It's like they're not consistent with their production value, and that kind of stuff takes me out of the show.
So I want to address Andre Enrico's comment that Wheel of Time is woke to the last strand of hair.
Oh, it feels like it, doesn't it?
Well, the whole like female versus male thing is in the books. In fact, it plays a big part in the books because the one power, the source of all magic, was tainted by a male sorcerer, and so any man who taps into the one source to use magic becomes corrupted by it and becomes evil. And so only women are able to wield this power without it destroying them. And that's something that's a big part of the book is cleansing this taint from, you know, the the one power. And so like there's actually like the whole story of Wheel of Time is interplay tied to that male versus female thing. So I can't say that it's woke because that's the source material, right? And it has a reason for being there. It's not just preachy. It's part of this fantasy magic system that this world has created. Other than that, just like the race swapping and the diversity that has been added to the show, I personally don't have a problem with it because it's a fantasy world and it wasn't ever previously established that these people had to be a certain race. So I'm like, okay, if they want to diversify it up, that's fine with me. I'm more worried about them staying true to the soul of the books. And so far they seem to be doing that, but we're only 2 episodes in.
I mean, I believe Amazon is one of those production companies that they have their agenda quotas, right? They have to hire so many of these and so many of that and so many of these.
I don't know if Amazon does that. I know Netflix does.
Because I know Netflix does, but
Netflix.
I heard Amazon was really similar, and I don't really care about the Wheel of Time series. It is what it is, But I'm really concerned they're going to pull this stuff with the Lord of the Rings show, and when that happens, people are going to have problems with it, and it's just the way it is. If you make something woke, then you're asking for problems from the get-go, especially when you tamper with something so influential in society as the Lord of the Rings books are, So I guess we'll have to see. Wheel of Time, it's just another show for me, and I'm gonna probably watch it. We can talk about it on the show at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch the whole first season because I'm starved for some high fantasy stuff right now. I haven't had time to watch Cowboy Bebop yet, but I really want to.
I watched the first episode. I didn't hate it, but I don't have the reference point from the cartoon.
Right.
I'm getting really heavy comic book. I mean, kind of that comic book style, kind of like that Sin City.
Well, it's based off a manga.
Yeah, I know, and you can tell, and it's a cool style. I don't know if I like it. I just. But like I said,
I've always thought John Cho was too old to play Spike. He just looks old. Like the guy from Warrior and the guy who played Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, I think he would have been a much better casting choice.
Just from watching the first episode, I don't really have a huge issue with the casting of what's gone on. I know there's more race swaps and stuff going on and all this kind of thing, but I just don't know. I don't have an opinion on it yet. I was just really curious if you guys had seen it and had any thoughts on it.
No, I never even heard of it, but I wanted to ask Kadish, are you familiar with the Abhorsen trilogy?
Nope.
Oh my God. It's written by Garth Nix. I rarely read books more than once, and there's 3 of them. And I've read all 3 of these books like 3 times. It's so good, and I've been it's about a necromancer. I think you'd love it, and I'd love your take on it. But I think it would make a great Netflix series. But since you haven't read it, we can't really talk about it. But I'm surprised because I really feel like it'd be right up
if I
your
ever
alley.
have time to read again.
Yeah.
I feel you.
There's so much stuff out there right now. I'm really struggling to find any spare time right now with everything.
So Backyard TARDIS, to answer your question, yes, originally it was going to be yesterday, but they had to reschedule some stuff. And as soon as we're finished here, I'm going to join the guys over at Popcast. So yeah.
Well, speaking of getting finished here, why don't we wrap things up?
Sure.
We've been going for about an hour and 20 minutes now. Matt Vader 74, where can they find you on the socials?
Oh, we're like going straight to it. Okay.
Oh wow. Oh,
Man,
that was quick.
Kadish, he's bored. He wants to get out of here.
Well, unless you guys want to talk about NFTs, then I could go for
no.
God.
You can do that on a crypto.
Well, wait, is my mom still in the chat? I mean, because she wanted to know. I'm gonna get you 2 to talk.
That's like crypto with Kadish. You need to do that show.
Yeah, that right.
That'll happen.
Yeah, I'll just sit there with my coffee mug.
Yeah.
It's
like Cardano's looking really good today, guys. You should dump some pennies into that.
Cardano looks good every day.
We just need to make our own crypto, like some kind of salty nerd coin.
Where can they find me? You can find me right there at Matt Vader 74 on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and over on our Discord as well at saltynerddiscord.com. There's an open invitation to anybody who plugs in that address. Just hit the accept button and go on in and chit chat with us all. So there you have it.
Took my shtick.
Danny?
Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, you can find me on the saltynerddiscord.com. I love all the chatting in there, and it's a way safer space than, say, like a Twitter or Facebook. It's not toxic, and people have spirited conversations, yet respectful, and it's a bunch of like-minded people. It's cool. And of course, you can find me on Twitter, right there.
Yeah.
Dork Knight LV. I usually just tweet about wrestling and hockey, and
I want some of our local cosplayer friends that I know there's several in the chat right now. Come over to our Discord and post some pics up in our.
There is a cosplay.
We have a cosplay channel on there, so come over.
Jude's actually cosplaying tonight as Poison Ivy. For this event we're going to.
The heroes and villains. Hopefully, I get to make it out. I'll do my where is it? My Mankind right there, mask and a suit, whatever. I get all backwards. So that'll be fun if we can.
I'll be cosplaying as a guy who used to work in Hollywood.
There you go.
Yeah.
You need your blue check mark.
He's wearing his He's wearing his Bat-Rat Spider Crab shirt. Just he's ready to go right now.
Exactly.
Didn't you have a trophy husband?
I don't even wear pants. So next week, guys, we're going to be releasing our episode on horrible horror movies, which Danny was a part of.
Oh my God.
That will be our Friday show. On Tuesday, we're recording our Brosnan Bond episode, where we talk about the best, the worst, and my favorite Brosnan Bond movie. So that should be a fun little episode. But just be prepared for the holiday horror one, because it was a tough episode to do.
Oh my God. Yeah.
In fact, Vader's like, do we even have to release it? Like, can we just get this one?
Better. You made me watch the fucking movies.
I just said cut out part of it.
So I want to thank everyone in the chat for participating and for
great chat today.
Especially Mexican Iron Man, who threw us our one and only super chat. Dude, you are a superstar. Thank you very much.
Broken Birds for
signing up for our members area. We hope you like all the content there. We got lots of content in the back catalog. We got more stuff coming your way. In fact, we just sent out a message today that we're going to experiment with a new thing in our main show, where members can ask us questions in the Q&A board on our Discord, and we will read them as a separate segment on the show. But they're questions about our previous episode. So for the upcoming one, they would ask us about Ghostbusters, and we would talk about that. And we're going to give it a try, see how it looks. But it's a good way to shout out our members, and also, like, if you have a question or a comment, or you want to argue with me, or like whatever the case may be, drop it in there, and we will read it on the show and see how it goes. And Vader, should we also announce our big interview at the end of the month? Do you think anyone would care?
Let's save it. Tease them.
No, let them know. It's
Okay,
confirmed. You can do it. We can start telling people.
All right. So you guys know that we've been interviewing a lot of actors lately for our favorite shows. And through some stroke of luck, we were able to get Dr. Rodney McKay himself, David Hewlett from Stargate Atlantis, to agree to come on our show and let us interview him. So we're going to be talking to David Hewlett at the end of the month, and we're going to be releasing his interview around Christmas time. But if you have anything that you want to ask him through us, feel free to drop it in the Q&A portion of our Discord, saltynerddiscord.com, and we will be happy to bring it up with him. But we're super excited because we all love Stargate Atlantis, and I'm a big David Hewlett fan. I think he's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, he's fun.
I'm looking forward to speaking with him.
Huge nerd.
So anyway, guys, thank you so much for showing up this Saturday, and show up every Saturday for future episodes of the Holmgang. And we're going to, it's our chill stream where we just talk about anything that comes up on our mind. And, Be sure to check out saltynerdclub.com if you want to get all of the members area content to enjoy and listen to in between live streams. So thank you all
Just like
so
Broken
much.
Birds did. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you all so much. And we will catch you next Saturday. Stay salty, my friends.
See you, everybody.